Uh, I'm Dr. Neela Garu. I'm board certified in internal medicine and cardiovascular diseases. I have been awarded fellowships from the American College of Cardiology, American College of Physicians, and American College of Chest Physicians. I'm also an alumnus of Harvard Business School. I'm the founding chairman and sole shareholder of Quantum National Bank, which was started in 1995. We started with 5 million in assets, and today we have 616 million in assets. We are ranked as the fourth most profitable bank in the country, and we are ranked as number one in the state of Georgia. I have served on the boards of the Cigna Health Springs Insurance Company, Coalition of Athens Area Physicians, Jackson County Area Chamber of Commerce, and Community Bankers Association of Georgia. I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity. I'll be moderating the webinar and will keep the meeting on schedule. We have world-class speakers with long, illustrious careers, and in the interest of time, I will keep the introduction short and sweet. I request all the speakers to adhere to the timings, please. First, I want to introduce Mr. K.V. Kumar. He is the President and CEO of the Indian American International Chamber of Commerce. He is also the chairman of KMF Investment Group and sits on the board of many companies and organizations. He is the only Indian American to serve 6 US presidents from Ronald Reagan to Donald Trump. He has also served 4 governors, many members of Congress, many members of Senate, as well as mayors. He has actively participated in numerous NGOs and organizations to serve the community. He was honored by the American Chamber of Commerce and US Department of Commerce. And he was instrumental in contributing to the US-India trade and bilateral relations. One of the areas in which he decided to volunteer was with those who have traumatic brain injury. He is also a proud recipient of the Ellis Island Medal of Honor. And he also has received many congressional as well as senatorial awards. And I'll give the podium to Mr. Kumar.
Thank you, Dr. Neela Garu. Good Thursday morning to all, and it's my honor and privilege to welcome you all. I request you all to observe a 30 seconds of silence in honor of those who lost their lives and those who are suffering from COVID epidemic. Thank you. Doing business between India and the United States has become more important than ever, and the timing is just perfect for improved relationship for the 2 largest democracies. Manufacturing is an important component of the commerce both for United States and India, and the timing again is the perfect timing. From the United States point of view, doing business with India started with a big boost, especially from Presidents George W. Bush and President Barack Obama. And now President Donald Trump has it a top priority to not only improve the trade, but also a better relationship with India. Since Honorable Narendra Modi was elected as Prime Minister in 2014, And again, with a super majority in 2019, India has entered into a new phase in both US-India relationship and trade. Both President Trump and Prime Minister Modi by far has the best personal relationship, which is remarkably helpful to both countries. 1 year back in Houston, at a historic rally in his honor, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, where President Trump and many leaders from all walks of life, over 50,000 people gathered, in which incidentally was the largest assembly of people for a visiting head of state, where Prime Minister Modi was addressing the Indian Americans, said, I will quote what he said, that the embassy and the consulate officers are here to serve you. I am mentioning this only to reiterate the fact that Dr. Swati Vijay Kulkarni, co-host of this webinar, is our keynote speaker. He is carrying out exactly the message Prime Minister Modi stated in his speech in Houston. Indian Ambassador Taranjit Singh Sandhu, ministers in the embassy, consul generals, and each and every one I have dealt with in the embassy and the consulate general's officers have been following this to the letter, what Prime Minister Modi said. All of them have been most helpful and I salute them for their service. While visiting India in 1959, Reverend Martin Luther King in his speech in New Delhi said, I will quote the term that he said, I go to other countries as a visitor, but when I go to India, I go as a pilgrimage. Ladies and gentlemen, this statement by Reverend King makes me feel very proud to be an Indian American. Today we are honored to have Dr. Swati Vijay Kulkarni, Consul General of India for Southeast region, also a medical doctor turned diplomat. She has done a superb job over the last 2 years almost. She is going to speak about the current status of US-India relationship, impact of COVID in India, and how to do business with India. So I will not elaborate too much on that. Madam Consul General, I welcome you. And moderator Dr. Narsimmalu Nilagaro, an eminent cardiologist turned successful banker, chairman of IAICC Southeast Atlanta Region Chapter, and chairman of Quantum National Bank in Atlanta. By the way, in 2020, Quantum National Bank became the 4th most profitable bank in the country in its category between $300 million to $1 billion bank. You know where to go if you need a business or a personal loan. Today, in addition to Dr. Kulkarni, we have very eminent speakers who will voice their opinions and pave the way to do business between the two countries. Mr. Kumar Achyut Aladi, President, IAICC Southeast Atlanta Regional Chapter and Chairman of Florida State Chapter. He is also the CEO of a very successful technology firm, Smart Infrastructure Group, by the way, located in West Palm Beach, Florida. By the way, Mr. Aladi's company has facilitated this webinar, for which I'm very grateful to Mr. Kumar Aladi, Mr. Anish Goli, and their technical team, Mr. Anish Goli, Mr. Rohit Sukumar, and Mr. Siddip Neduri. I welcome you all, sir. I take this opportunity to welcome the speakers today who are very, very eminent speakers. Mr. Kinesh Doshi, CEO Axion Labs, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Dr. Kamal Kumar Datta, Chairman, Ruby General Hospital, Kolkata, India. Dr. Ratnagiri Polavarapu, CEO Genomics Biotech Inc., Atlanta, with pharmaceutical manufacturing facilities in India. With these people, you are going to have a wonderful time, but I want to recognize a few VIPs from our group who has been on the call. I take this opportunity to also welcome Appan Menon, Chairman and Chairman of the Executive Board, Glenn Falco, Vice Chairman of the Executive Board, Padma Shri, Media Mughal Dr. Sudhir Parikh, Chairman of the Board of Trustees, Mr. Anil Agarwal, IAICC India Chairman. We have the youngest entrepreneur and Chairman of IAICC Young Entrepreneurs Board of India and Vice Chairman of International Young Entrepreneurs board with us, Chirag Purushottam, and you watch out for him. He is going to host a number of events in the future, along with Chairman of India, Mr. Anil Agarwal. Mr. Ket Ditawong, General Counsel, TV Jairam, Communications Director, Nagaraj Reddy, Executive Director, Rano Singh Sidhu, President of Arizona State, Narendra Shah, Executive Director of Southeast Atlanta Region and CEO of Future Capital Group. We have plenty of helpful information on our website. I recommend you all visit our website at www.iaicc.world. Thank you very much. Welcome to you all.
Thank you, K.V. Kumar, for your kind words. And next, I want to introduce Ms. Swati Vijay Kulkarni. She is our beloved Consul General of India in Atlanta. And she is a career diplomat with an MBBS degree. And reminder, there are 3 doctors here in the group. And Ms. Kulkarni, Dr. Kulkarni joined the Indian Foreign Service in 1995. She originally served as the Regional Passport Officer in Mumbai, Maharashtra. And she was Consul General in Cape Town, South Africa, Deputy Head of Mission in Muscat, Oman. And she has previous overseas assignments as First Secretary in High Commission of India, London. And she has served as First Secretary in the High Commission for several countries, including Port Louis, Mauritius, and a lot of other countries. And she was Third Secretary at Embassy of India in Spain. And she was Under Secretary for Austria, Cyprus, Greece, Slovenia, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, Holy See, Malta, Portugal, Ireland, and Spain. Best of all, we like her smile. Thank you, Dr. Kulkarni, and podium is yours.
Dr. Garu, thanks for your generous introduction. Our distinguished President and CEO of IAICC, Mr. K.V. Kumar, entire board of IAICC, all distinguished participants, a very good morning to all of you. I have my PowerPoint presentation here and I will run through it. See, the COVID crisis is a huge crisis for all of us. It's a crisis on all fronts, on political, social, economic, cultural. And the crisis has no parallel in living memory. It has changed everything in the world, including our assumption of common well-being, which we have taken already for granted. We have seen massive health catastrophe. We have seen lockdown, social distancing, tragic loss of life. The scourge has confronted all humanity. It has impacted our businesses, our lifestyle, everything. So we have seen the supply demand shocks, the market liquidity shocks, but something remains unchanged, rather not changed at all. And that's we the people, our steadfast commitment and our stubborn hope. Many countries have taken various measures to mitigate this crisis. Likewise, India has also taken various measures. Our government acted proactively and effectively. A comprehensive and coordinated response emerged out of huge deliberations done with our all stakeholders, including chief ministers of state. And our response was 3-pronged: testing, tracing, and containment zones. The response which we have done has been appreciated all over, including by WHO. You know, India has a dense population. We do have certain limitations on health front. But when we had 55th day of infection, when we had 600 cases, our government enforced lockdown from March 24 onwards, and it continued for almost 2.5 months. The period was essential for all of us to ramp up our health infrastructure and to scale up the production of PPE and other medical equipments. And it was utilized properly and beneficially by the government and all stakeholders. Today, we have 69,000 hospitals which are doing COVID-related treatment, testing. We have 1.9 million isolation beds. We have 96,000 ICUs. Likewise, we have lots of ventilators, almost 48,000. As far as PPE production was concerned, we were doing zero before COVID. Now we are doing 56 times. We have 600 registered companies and we are doing 500,000 per day. So we have scaled up our production of PPE, the masks, the ventilators, and likewise we have emerged as a medical equipment hub. The Indian government has lifted the restrictions so that now we can export it. And we offer competitive prices and the quality is international standard. You already know that India is a pharmacy of the world. Now we are becoming medical equipment hub. As far as the testing is concerned, we have 1300 plus laboratories and today we are doing 1 million testing per day. That too with 75% of kits which are indigenously developed. So we have grassroots health workers who are doing all the testing in rural areas. We call those women health workers called ASHA. We have Arogya Setu app, which is the bridge for health, which is downloaded by 150 million people plus. And it tells you who has COVID in the vicinity and where to do testing and things like that. We have largest publicly funded program called National Health Protection, Ayushman Bharat, which is availed by 500 million Indians. It provides testing and treatment to underprivileged. So every death for us is a tragic loss. We have seen death rate at 1.7%, well below average, world average of 3.6%. We have seen, the silver lining is that the recovery rate is pretty high, 77%. So the recovery rate is what we have, which is some people say because we have young population. India is a young country where 64% population is young. So the government has given even a special economic package, which is 10% of our GDP, $270 billion. We have given as interim measures the cash benefits to our underprivileged people. Most poor have got most help in a smart and targeted way. Thanks to technology, at the click of button, we have given the liquidity infusion to those people. 80 million people received free cooking gas. 800 million, they are receiving free ration, free food. This will continue till November 2020. Now focus for government is to open up the economy. We are already on the path of opening up. It's unlock 4.0 that's happening. We have already started domestic and international flights. Shops and those malls are being opened. We conducted the joint engineering exam last week in phases successfully. The All India entrance exam for medical students also will be held next week. So we are opening up slowly but surely. The next phase will be to open up schools and colleges and to resume the economic activity, the routine ones at the pre-COVID levels. Again, the government has shifted its attention on vaccine production. There are 3 companies, Bharat Biotech, then Zydus Cadila, then also Serum Institute with AstraZeneca. So collectively, they will ramp up the production of 300 million vaccines per month. So that's also there. The Russian Sputnik 5, we are in talks with them for joint production. Our Department of Biotechnology is doing. So all in this crisis period, India intends to use this crisis as an opportunity. So government is focusing on, you can show the next slide. The focusing on 5 pillars. The 5 pillars are economy, infrastructure, systems, and the vibrant demography, which I told you, we have young people, and demand. Economy, that will see quantum jump. The infrastructure, which will be tuned with New India, and then systems which will use 21st century technologies, and vibrant demography and demand will utilize the requirement and spur the supply chain requirement. During last 6 years, our government has introduced many reforms like Make in India, Startup India, Skill India, Digital India. All these reforms were intended to overhaul the outdated policies and processes. The aim was to achieve minimum governance and minimum government and maximum governance. And the aim was to make Indian economy to have a global recognition. So the government wants to walk this path more so that development for all is achieved. In tune with that, we also saw various initiatives like Janadhana Yojana, that is banking for all. It was integrated approach to provide financial inclusion to more people, to remote people, to rural people. So now we have seen additional 400 million people who have availed of this facility and more so women who are beneficiaries. Also Aadhaar, it's a unique biometric identity card for Indians. 1.1 billion people have Aadhaar card. Then we have mobile phone, 1.2 billion subscribers. So this Jam Trinity, what we call, has profoundly changed India. It has transformed the life of every Indian because they have now biometric card in their pocket, mobile in their hand, and banking within their reach. It has also transformed the governance, the public delivery, the banking, and insurance. And it has penetrated banking to the remotest and strengthened the banking structure also. So more than 80% of Indian population have bank accounts nowadays. Now Indians are not using at all the credit cards or debit cards. They are using unified payment interface much more than what it used to be. So online digital payment has really scaled up in India. Then the another reform was GST. GST we saw, that's the goods and services tax. It unified India. Today we have one tax, one market, one nation. Earlier we used to be economically disintegrated, where we used to have 17 indirect tax. Interstate levies used to be there. But no, today we have one tax, and that has simplified the procedure, unified the country, and it has also widened the tax base and brought the unorganized sector within the tax net. We have IPR policy, so that the creation, innovation has become marketable asset, and the ecosystem associated with it has also been developed. Then we have new insolvency bankruptcy code, which has made very easy to wind up the failing businesses and to make the debt recovery easier. Then we have Invest India, which handholds anybody who wants to invest in India. So in tune with all such reforms, government utilized the COVID crisis and introduced more reforms. So the more reforms were basically how to transform the personal tax payment, how to honor the honest, and the government has introduced those schemes. The taxation has been rationalized, those slabs, and it has been made very faceless, painless, and seamless. The painless, why? Because the rules and regulations have been made simpler. Faceless, why? Because the IT officer and the assessor, the income tax payer, there is no contact. The survey, assessment, everything is online. Then government has introduced reforms in growth critical sectors. For example, in agriculture. Earlier, agriculture or the farmers, they have to only sell their produce within the state. Now they can sell anywhere in India. The interstate barriers have been removed. Now the legal framework has been enabled for contract farming. A fund has been created for agriculture. Then defense, we have increased the FDI limit. In mining, atomic energy, space, power, we are encouraging private participation on PPP model. Focus is on MSME, where we have, MSME contributes 29% to GDP. We have 100 million plus employed there. The focus is on manufacturing. So the government has given a clarion call for Atmanirbhar Bharat, where India is self-reliant and self-generating. So world is now seeing new India, where the policies are on fast track to encourage any investment. There is empowered group of secretaries who oversee the investment process and fast track it. We have project development cell in each ministry so that it becomes an interface between the investor and the state, respective state. We rank all the states on the basis of attractiveness so that competitive cooperative federalism is there. Then we also have schemes for champion sectors like solar energy, storage of those batteries and all those sorts of things. Then upgradation of industrial sectors have also been done where GIS location mapping and the ranking has been introduced. Then we also have new education policy and it has been aligned with sustainable development goals of 2030. The new education policy, it has overall the earlier education system where we used to have 10 plus 2, now it has been made 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. So here the focus is again on vocational education, mathematics, language and technology. So this will also give major impetus for enrollment ratio in India. The higher education will see from 27% to 50% jump. So that is what we are talking here. Even the innovation index, the global innovation index, which used to be 81st in 2015, has now scaled up to 52nd. Ease of doing business has scaled up to 63rd rank from 130 some few years back. And I have told you already, we have a huge talent force and a young nation where we have army of doctors and engineers who are there for us to give complement to the economy. The government, next slide, government has also introduced various schemes for ramping up the delivery system like bureaucrats. Bureaucrats like us, we have 25 million bureaucrats. How to motivate them, how to make them more human centric, and that's how to make the ease of living in India easier. So for that there is a PM-led HR council we have. Then we have capacity building mission and how to have HPV online programs for training purposes and things like that. So that will make again the transparency in the public delivery. So all these reforms are making India a very competitive place for a business. You already know that we have democracy in India, we have rule of law, we have free press, we speak English, even though we speak a different English, but we do speak English. And most important, we have young people. So Invest India is there. If you want to do business, they will handhold you. I just want to give you a next slide, that some glimpses of a little. I have already told you about the Mission Karma Yogi, where we are ramping up the bureaucracy and making the ease of living, ease of doing business, and the more human-centric approach. The next slide, please. See, I just want to give you a little overview of India-US relationship in such a way that how immense possibilities are there for cooperation. See, we have overcome the hesitations of history and now our strategic partnership is of global significance. There are frequent interaction between our leadership and the relationship enjoys the bipartisan support. The trade is expanding, our cooperation is also expanding and huge possibilities are there for cooperation. Our Prime Minister met President Trump in 2016, 2017, 2018, 4 times in 2019, and President Trump visited India in February 2020. There is 2+2 format where our Foreign Minister and Defense Minister meet regularly. They met in September 2018, again in 2019, and we are going to see another meeting in a few months. Then also there are institutionalized dialogue. The bipartisan delegation of Congress, it went to India in August 2019. Then there are governors and chief ministers who visit regularly. Then there are foreign office consultations. Recently we have seen virtual foreign office consultations. And the diplomatic and official exchanges, they also continue. The bilateral trade we have, it is $150 billion and lots of mutual investment between the country. Americans have 2,000 companies in India. Every conglomerate is there in India, Google, Amazon, Walmart. And they have created 200,000 plus jobs in India and their investment in India is $40 billion. During COVID, we saw $20 billion investment. So that's huge and every state of US is doing business with India. Then Indian companies, we have 200 companies. They are doing tangible business in all 40 states. They are represented in 50 states. And Indian companies have also invested huge amount, and they have also created, 20 billion they have invested, and they are also providing jobs to 125,000 people plus. So India is providing skilled human resources, and US is giving us cutting edge technology edge. So there is win-win situation for all of us. And there are more than 50 intergovernmental dialogue mechanisms for us which enable all this process. The two important sectors which we have seen emerging in last few decades is defense and energy. Defense acquisition we have seen in last few years more than $21 billion. We are major defense partner. There are collaboration on Army, Navy, tri-services, and our people come here regularly for training. There is defense technology and trade initiative for co-development, co-production also. Then on energy level, we have seen trade, which has also seen in last 4 years, $20 billion plus. We are taking LNG, crude oil, everything from US. And last year, we have seen almost $9 billion dollar business. On science and technology, we have a huge collaboration, 200 research projects between NIH and India. And it has created a huge ecosystem of scientists and researchers. That has also helped on various fronts like non-communicable diseases, other communicable diseases. The collaboration is ongoing. The science and technology MOU has been updated. There is also MOU on water conservation. And on private sector also there is a collaboration. The Gilead is investing hugely in India. They have licensing arrangement with 7 Indian companies, and they are going to do remdesivir for only $72 US. So if you take an injectable course of 6 days, it will only cost $432, which will be the cost of drug of 1 day in US. So it's cost effective again, which we are doing in India. So I just have given you overview so that there are immense opportunities as far as the relationship is concerned and as far as the policies which are business friendly in India are concerned. The next I just want to give you a little glimpse of what we are doing in India and Southeast is concerned. There are certain photographs. You can see Vice Mayor Dale Holness. He is there from Broward County. Now he is mayor, and he visited India in January 2019. The effect of his visit was that he brought T20 matches at Fort Lauderdale. And what happened? We saw T20 matches in September 2019, and it was attended by more than 10,000 people, Indians who attended those matches, and that gave a revenue of 10 million plus to Broward County. Can you imagine cricket in America? But it happened there because of the efforts which we did, and the vice mayor also took so much interest. Then we have the Fulton County chairman who visited India in October 2019, and there were other incoming delegations from Carpet Export Promotion Council, from the IT delegation which we saw in 2019, and Trade Winds went to India in May 2019. So in Southeast, where we are dealing with 6 states and 2 territories like Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, and Puerto Rico and Virgin Island. We have seen 90 Indian companies here who have invested $10 billion in this area, and they have also created more than 5,000 jobs. So here the Indian community is 400,000, and they have done very well. We are proud of their achievements because most of them are professionals, doctors, IT people, and the 40% of the hotels are owned by our Indians. So this is the thing we are talking, and the trade between India and Southeast is 12 billion US. Mostly Georgia 3.8 and the Florida is 2.8 billion dollars, the bilateral trade. So there is a huge synergy between the two countries. And next I just want to emphasize the people to people connect, which has given a strong and a vital bond between the two countries. We have seen Howdy Modi event and also the Namaste Trump event, which was attended by thousands and thousands of people. And that's the vibrancy of our relationship. And these two events celebrated exactly the people to people connect. because we have a diaspora of Americans, the Indians here, 400,000, 4 million, and then it's more than 1% of US population, and even Indian students are here, 200,000 plus, who are contributing 8 billion, $7.5 billion to US economy. So see, this is the people-to-people context to our relationship. So please see all the policies and the relationship in that perspective. In India, we have red carpet for you and invest in various sectors which have given so many investment friendly policies by the government. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Council Kulkarni. That was great talk and a lot of useful information for all of us. So thank you again. And next we'll move to Mr. Kinesh Doshi's talk. And he's the founding CEO of Axion Labs, a technology services firm headquartered in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And Axion was the fastest growing company out of Pittsburgh for 5 years in a row. It has more than 2,500 employees and 20 plus offices across United States, Canada, UK, Singapore, India, Middle East, and Malaysia. And he has 25 plus years of professional experience. And prior to founding Axion, he founded 2 other venture-backed firms with global operations. He has an undergrad degree in electrical engineering, a master's degree in electronics engineering, and an MBA in marketing and finance. Currently, he lives in Orlando with his wife and has 3 children. And he is a winner of the E&Y Entrepreneur of the Year 2015 for Western Pennsylvania region. And currently is the chairman of the Young Presidents Organization Orlando chapter. Mr. Kinesh Doshi.
Thank you very much, Dr. Neil Garu. Can you see my slides?
Yes, we can.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for the opportunity to speak at this event with all the distinguished speakers here and the Consulate General. So my story, as you talked about, really started in Delhi, India, and I was lucky enough to be benefited by India's education system and did my undergrad there. Moved to Singapore actually, so I've spent a lot of time in Asia Pacific, did a lot of work in Europe, and then eventually in 1998 moved to the Midwest and then to Pittsburgh and now to Orlando. So the point I wanted to make is really I studied in India, but I have lived globally, and then eventually I made my home in Pittsburgh and Orlando, which is where I started Axion. So I want to tell you this. I know a lot has been talked about India's IT industry, but I want to share a little bit about behind the scenes, why it has been great working in the US and building a global business, and where India stood compared to a lot of other countries that I did work at, and even currently I do. So I think just to give you a quick background, I currently head up Axion. We have actually over 2,700 employees now. We're hiring about 100 employees every month today. And so we have plans to double our headcount within the next 18 to 24 months. I have 20 global offices and of course, a large portfolio of customers. A large part of our business comes from the offices that exist. So that's in Asia Pacific, India, US, and Europe. If you really were to look at the company's background, I started the company in 2011 in Pittsburgh. By that time, I had a lot of backing from a couple investors that I worked in their prior ventures. So really, the business was about working with tech companies. We have grown steadily since then. As Dr. Neil Garu said, we're the fastest growing company out of Pittsburgh, 5 years in a row. We've grown organically and inorganically through that process, through that journey. I still remember the days when we were in a small 1,600 square foot office in Pittsburgh, and today we have global operation. We actually raised $100 million funding right in the middle of COVID in March, end of March. So that just shows the steadiness of the business globally, that a large PE fund, invested in the business. I don't want to talk about Axion services too much because I understand this audience is about doing business with India. But very quickly, what we do is we build software in the emerging tech space. And I believe good talent is everywhere. And that's the point I'm going to emphasize as I go through this presentation. The world has amazing talent, and India has such a great talent, a great population, and we'll talk about some of the benefits in a few minutes. We have amazing diversity in our workforce, and I do want to point out that I see the diversity in the US, but it's amazing how much diverse India is, both from a culture perspective, but also the opportunities for female workers, for female employees. So we have a large female employee population, and I feel thankful that so many diverse people trust. We have 30 plus countries represented in our employee base today. We have a great social impact program. I already talked about that we have presence in many countries today, and so I have this philosophy that really works well. And I remember the days when I first started in the information technology industry in Delhi. I was allowed to check my email only once a day. Just once a day. I go to another office, check my email. I was allowed to have a video call with my customers once a week. Imagine, the world has changed. We are able to talk to each other every day, anytime. And this whole philosophy that there is an East culture and West culture is actually going away. We all live in a one single culture. It's a culture of hard work, culture of transparency, culture of outcome, efficiency. So I'm a big promoter. I'll give an example to you. I walk around in my office, and if I see any employee working at 9 p.m., I walk them out of the office. And I'm a big believer work-life balance and so on. So I think a lot of people have this philosophy that, oh, the cultures are different and maybe we'll have cultural issues. Nothing like that. We all watch, Indians watch NBA, NFL, and all kinds of games in America. Americans watch soccer, cricket. So just now we talked about that. So it is really one culture is the philosophy we bring to our employees. And that takes me to the crux of this meeting and this presentation is, why do we do business in India, right? I think a lot of this Consulate General covered, but I will say it from my perspective. And I know we do, my business is knowledge workers, but there are amazing businesses out there above and beyond knowledge workers. So there's a large talent pool. I have to tell you, amazing work ethics. If I call people at 3 a.m. and say a production server is down, no one thinks twice. They don't ask for overtime. They don't ask for, so it's an amazing work ethics the people have. And they will still show up at 9 a.m. at office next morning, even though they have attended to a problem at 3 a.m. previous night. So that's really great work ethics we see. Of course, the environment in India is pro-business. I actually set up my own entity in India in 2012, and then since then we have opened up many offices. So there's very strong legal framework, capital markets there, all kinds of insurance products available that you would generally look for in the US. It's a great place to support APAC and Middle East, and even Europe. We do support some of our Europe operations through our India center. Like I said, it combines the cultures of best of East and West. We have lower cost to acquire talent, and which allows you to experiment with different business models. And our customers have benefited with that. We have a stable government, and very rigorous enforcement of IP protection. Because I do realize that knowledge-based businesses worry about intellectual property, and a lot of times comparison exists between India and China and so on. But our customers trust us with their intellectual property. We build their core software. And I think they're very comfortable doing that with us because there are very strong IP protection laws there. Of course, now the infrastructure has improved greatly, and we have a great connectivity from the US. So now the next point I want to talk about is how do you enter into India? And either you're buying or selling. You could be buying products, you can be buying services, or you could be selling in India. What are the different ways to enter? And we've tried different models. Our customers do this, so we have a good understanding of that. Of course, one of the ways is you create your own captive. What that means is either you create an operation or you acquire an existing company with an operation. It gives you strong control, and there are pros and cons of these different models. It gives you strong control, strong branding, alignment of culture and titles and all that. But it also requires you to understand the legal liabilities that you have, the business network. You need to have the network. You need to understand all the regulations involved and so on. Of course, we do a lot. We do partnerships to take our customers to India and then our partners to India, and then they could sell in India as well as they could buy services in India. This particular model is very useful. It allows you to really try before you buy, right? You don't have to invest a lot of upfront capital, and you really kind of test out the water. And there are some good things, bad things about that I'll talk in the next slide that you have to be watching. Other ways, another option is joint venture. So you could actually create a JV with a company in India. That's another good model where you could do 50-50. 60-40 kind of JV with an India-based company, and then you just have to remember that such JVs have to be reported in the US. So there are some reporting requirements for any JVs that you set up in an offshore location, and then repatriation of funds and so many things one has to keep in mind. The final model, that is actually something that we do a lot, where we set up a partnership with a company and we give them an option to acquire that entity, which is also known as build, operate, transfer model. It's a fantastic model. It doesn't require upfront capital. You can change your direction. You can start with Mumbai, but go to Bangalore. Bangalore doesn't work out. You go to Indore. So there are a lot of different city changes you can do. So you don't have to pre-commit either your spend, your investment, and also you can that Indian partner can help you eventually transfer the operation. So again, I know in a few minutes it's hard to convey the pros and cons of different models, but I'll be sharing my contact info and you're welcome to reach out to me. One of the things we have done is we have taken this partnership model and taken it to the next level using a concept called EDC. Really what it stands for is Extended Delivery Center. And the idea is that we set up dedicated teams for our customers and our partners, and those teams can do anything. They can do product dev, they can do sustenance support, they can do local sales, APAC support, and all that. And that's really a great model where you get a white box access to talent in India without making any upfront commitment, and we become custodian of your operation, and we have either a revenue sharing arrangement with you or a profit sharing arrangement, and certainly happy to talk more about that if someone is interested. But it's a fairly matured model. It enables you to build the business without with very limited knowledge of the geo. So as you're entering into India, what are the things you have to keep in mind? And I thought I'll just quickly run everyone through those some of the best practices. One is across different cities, there's a lot of difference in infrastructure and talent availability. So you need to understand what each city is capable of and start making those decisions and analyzing the data that, okay, what do you want to do? What kind of operation you want to set up? And then different cities may become relevant or not so relevant. Second thing is encourage you not to sign exclusivity as much as possible with one partner. So you have options to change partner as you're embarking on this journey. You need to have an IP lawyer that looks at IP and licensing arrangement, particularly if you're going with a knowledge and R&D based product, which requires strict licensing sharing. You also need to know that there are some tax and regulatory implications of having a stake in a company. So when you're setting up a JV or you are doing a transfer of a bought entity, you need to keep in mind what your responsibilities would be, and certainly we help our customers and partners in that journey. also the inflation has something that you need to keep in mind when you're working with India. It can help you or it can hurt you, and certainly appropriate forward contracts or banking relationships you need to be setting up, especially if you're doing some very large amounts of business with India. India has very strict CSR compliance needs, and that means that certain percentage of our profit has to be spent on social impact programs. And of course, if you're doing an entity setup, you need to understand the transfer pricing requirement locally in the region. India's labor laws are employee friendly. I do want to say that, and which is usually a good thing. They are employee friendly, and that means employees stick around. They don't leave you suddenly and so on. But there is requirements of maternity leave and separation notice periods and so on. Real estate in India is almost as expensive as US. I actually have real estate in India that is more expensive in India than in the US. So you got to keep that in mind, that some costs are actually at par with US or potentially even higher than US. Holiday schedules are very different between India and US, although we have aligned it over the years more and more. But I think the holiday schedules being different requires you to think about what the operational impact of that would be if you're running a 24/7 operation or if you're business. So I just want to make sure that you keep that in mind. And Indian talent, India is about 10.5 to 12 hours or 10.5 hours away from US, and hence the time zones are difficult, but you could potentially align them by having them shift their work hours, but it is very difficult for them to work in US time zones. So those are some of the things we should keep in mind. Again, it's a very vibrant country. It's colorful. On a Wednesday night, you can go in a bar and people are drinking. That rarely happens in America. So I get amazed by when I travel to our Indian offices. I get amazed by the vibrancy, the culture, the hardworking spirit, and the willingness to work and focus on outcome is tremendous. And I hope you guys, as you take your journey towards working with India, either again for buying or selling, you experience this. And a friend of mine, I take about 50 customers every year to India. Every year, 50 customers come with me to India and we do an event in Goa. And it is an amazing event. They have not had any experience like this when they go there and they fly in, all of them, 3 nights. We do that event and we take them around to our dev centers in Bangalore and Bombay and Goa and all that. And then they get amazed by the experience they had. One client, I asked him, what do you feel? What do you think about it? And he said, words can't describe what I'm on his way back to America. So really, it's a great experience. Thank you for letting me speak. And if anyone has any questions, you're welcome to reach out to me and appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Kinesh, and that's a great talk. You'll be a great ambassador from the point of business between the US and India. I think every sentence you said had value, what to do and what not to do. We really appreciate that. Thank you. Next, we'll go on to the talk by Mr. Kumar Aladi. He's a founder and CEO of the Smart Infrastructure Group that comprises Redis International, a geotechnical engineering and materials testing services firm, and he employs more than 130 people and has just in the state of Florida has 7 locations, and there's a location in North Carolina, Texas, Hawaii, and Hyderabad in India. He's a Florida professional engineer with 28 years of experience in civil engineering, geotechnical engineering, structural engineering, and construction engineering for the inspection services. In 2019, Kumar had the honor to serve on the Economic Advisory Committee for Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida. In 2016, Governor Rick Scott of Florida recognized Kumar with the Governor's Business Ambassador Award. In 2008, he was a delegate as part of the US Department of Commerce export mission to India. And he has served as the president for the Gold Coast chapter of the American Society of Highway Engineers. And he is also a member of the American Society of Civil Engineers, National Society of Professional Engineers, and Florida Engineering Society. Mr. Aladi.
Thank you, Dr. Nilagaru. Hopefully all of you guys can hear me. Thank you for the kind words. My perspective of what I'm going to present is like Dr. Kulkarni has mentioned, it's a people-to-people interaction. And people-to-people interaction is similarly in a business-to-business interaction. If there's no small business interaction, it's incomplete. So my perspective of this particular webinar is about US-based small businesses. It is in income. What are the opportunities they have for them in India? And this is based on our experiences for the past 5 years. So my webinar have basically 4 sections. First, I want to define the spectrum. What are the small businesses, US small businesses? And second thing is knowing us. What do we do? And the third is our experiences of doing business in India. And fourth is for advice for small businesses. Going through some statistics, very well-known statistics. When we say small businesses, according to SBA, any firm less than 500 employees is considered small business. And within small businesses, SBA says, you can categorize into four enterprises: micro enterprise, small enterprise, medium-sized, and large. So Smart Infrastructure Group is a mid-sized, medium-sized enterprise. We have close to 140 full-time equivalents. We're not talking about consultants and sub-consultants and all that. And why small business? If you really look into the statistics, according to SBA, there are close to 31 million small businesses in the United States. What does it mean? 90% of the businesses in the United States are small businesses. Again, Salesforce 2019. And also 1.5 million new jobs annually in the United States are created by small businesses, which accounts for 64%. If you are talking about new businesses, new jobs, it's the small businesses which basically create those kind of jobs. The biggest challenge for small businesses is labor quality and the labor. And I think my speaker Kinesh kind of talked about talent and all that. How does India fit in there? Another challenges facing small businesses are, in addition to employees, you have is profit, employee healthcare, growing revenue, which again is a new market, and the cash flow issues. So going to the second section of my presentation, I'm going to talk about is who we are, Smart Infrastructure Group. I'll take a few minutes so that you understand the industry, what I'm talking about. So Smart Infrastructure Group consists of Radis International, Smart Structures, Applied Foundation Testing, and our 100% subsidiary Radis India. So our journey so far, we started in 1997 as a 2-person firm, and what you can see, a few milestones. 2016 is when we started our India operations. And 2020, we are evaluating presently manufacturing in India. Is it makes sense or not? So right now we are in that stage, but basically that's our journey so far. The first component is Radis International, where we provide end-to-end all civil engineering design services and construction management services. So we have been in business for the last 23 years in US. And the second component is Smart Structures, where we manufacture sensors and we write software for the Internet of the Infrastructure. Basically, about again, the vertical I'm talking about is civil infrastructure, how we can get the infrastructure communication, especially with respect to asset management, several other uses. Third component is we are the leaders in deep foundation testing, applied foundation testing. Again, here we do services. Also, we manufacture a lot of testing equipment for civil infrastructure. Fourth leg of Smart Infrastructure Group is Radis India. Radis India, we started in 2016, and the location we chose was Hyderabad. One is, of course, me familiar with the city, but the most important thing, the reason why we chose was that easily available talent in our field of expertise, and when we compare from state to state and city to city, it was low cost of living compared to other metros in India, and it had good infrastructure facilities. That's the reason why we chose Hyderabad as a location. So we started with 10 people, and now we're close to 40 people. And as you see in this particular slide, in 2020, we are looking in terms of not only supporting our US operations, we are looking at in terms of can we manufacture our sensors and other things in India. So which is evaluation which I'll go through in the few slides later. So some of the manufacturing, presently we do manufacturing in Jacksonville in Florida and assembly in West Palm Beach, Florida. And our market is US clients as well as some of the Asia Pacific clients, including China. And some of this manufacturing, what we're talking about is really construction level testing and also PCBs, electronics, and it's a kind of a unique industry where we are trying to put sensors in dirt and concrete. So coming to third section of my presentation is like any business, right? As part of what we are always looking, growing business, we are looking is, can we be better? Can we make our operations faster? And can we do all that in an economics, right? Can we make it, cheaper, or I would say the better economics, better, faster, and economical. So those are things what we were looking at in 2016, like any growing small business. So when we saw that, this is our experience in terms of in India. So I can talk about our experience in India in terms of 5 different segments. One is first thing is the labor pool, which is the talent, which I think Kinesh kind of mentioned earlier. So what I have is a thumbs up, which is really good. And then I have an inverse exclamation mark, which is a word of caution. Yes, there's a huge talent pool, but matching the right person for the right job has been a huge effort, especially in terms of small businesses. Again, I'm talking with a small business perspective. Skills, there's availability of wide range of skills. Again, skill matching is a key challenge for hiring managers in India, and especially with the staff. One of the things I think what we learned is a separation notice periods, especially if you want to hire an employee in India, they have separation notice period with their existing employee from 30 to 90 days. So a lot of times you give an offer and you think the employee is going to join, but then you realize on the day of employment, he's not going to join. So which, especially if it's a key talent you're trying to hire, it has been a little tough. But the way you come across is if it's a key position, you give multiple offers. You have a pipeline of people. So that's how you can get. But again, these are deterrents. But what I see is but if you really look into this, it's a plus. The talent, the kind of talent what we have in India is amazing. And most important also is the talent have experience with multi-location experience, especially when we are looking at, we have operations in Hawaii, Texas, and Florida and all that. So you need especially the talent which can cater to different needs, different time zones. That's a humongous plus, especially for small businesses. The second is, I think the banking and funding, our experience with respect to banking. The banking has been very simple, easy, faster banking services, just online, just like US. But with respect to financing component, working capital financing you can easily obtain by putting a collateral with the banks. But however, the cost of capital for any capex expenditure, when compared to US, and if you're in US, you're talking about is a 5 to 7% interest rates. But when it comes to India, it's 12 to 15%. So as a small business, what I would say is, if you're looking about financing from Indian banks, it is still a deterrent. And I think Dr. Kulkarni mentioned about FDI. FDI is very easy. It is very less cumbersome. It's a automatic route for approval. It's very, very easy. It's India's tremendous improvement in terms of that. So only thing, the takeaway for small businesses, if you're looking for financing within India, I think you have to evaluate it. Third component I'm looking at is partners of manufacturing. So when we looked about manufacturing, as I said, right now we have all our manufacturing and assembly in US, and we do some of the contract manufacturing in China. So we were trying to compare with it. Again, this is more of evaluation what we're doing. Should we go with total manufacturing in India or do contract manufacturing? at this point, what we realize, total manufacturing in India, again, finances is something which we need to look at. But I have this particular slide more with respect to contract manufacturing. So one of the things which I want to address is the material availability. There's a tremendous variety of material availability, but one of the, I would say, word of caution I would say is, especially as a small business or when you're looking at is the quantities, maybe not minimum order quantity. So there could be an issue with respect to minimum order quantities. So the large firms, if you are trying to do a contract manufacturing, they're not that flexible. The suppliers and vendors are very reliable, largely reliable, but finding the right vendor is very critical to avoid delays and quality. That's one of the things which in terms of the suppliers and vendors. And also one of the things is what we've seen is between the suppliers and vendors, there's a very healthy competitiveness. And the logistics bottlenecks, most of the, I think from the government side, I think Dr. Kulkarni has mentioned about GST and those initiatives. There's tremendously streamlined a lot of that stuff. And also what we are seeing is several of the vendors, they are very tech savvy and they are looking at logistical, so they're deploying several processes, automating processes. So therefore logistical inefficiencies are being removed. So I think definitely, I think that India is in the right direction for all small businesses if they are looking for any contract manufacturing. Third, and the next part of our experience is dealing with the government agencies. I can say is overall great because most of the government services are online. They're moved online, and they have incredible support for all the overseas entities. And there's a lot of improvement in terms of addressing any grievances. And another thing is that significant advantage. I think when we looked at opening in Hyderabad, when compared to other states, what we see is there's a lot of competition between each state. So there's a lot of attraction. So when choosing the location, there's a healthy competition, what we see. And most of the policies are technology driven. And some of little deterrents, I think, is, what we saw was there's a delay in refunds with respect to the GST and the income taxes. Again, so some of the, but again, these are little deterrents, but overall, I would say it's been a great experience. The third thing is, again, with my team is, again, small business growing, they are looking for better, faster, and economical. When we are looking at its economics, you're looking at is a market. Do we have a market? It's not just helping the US business over here, but at the same time, can we address the local market? Yes, can we? So we were looking India at two things. One is a domestic market. Another thing is, can India help export from India to Asia Pacific and China region? Yes, it's a great thing. What we saw was there's a tremendous technology adoption, and you see, like just like United States, there's a main infrastructure spending is done by the government, and government is encouraging technology. And the private sector, what we saw was a lot of the private sectors, they want to joint venture or partner with the US businesses. So because we bring the niche or that additional benefit for the local businesses. And the last element, what I said was export opportunities. There's tremendous, from India, you can export to local regions, which is South Asia Pacific region. My last section of my presentation is advice for small businesses if they want to do business in India. What we have learned is you have to have the right leader in India. You need to have the right key person. You want to hire the key person with energy, with expertise and everything. And you got to choose the right location. And I think there's a tremendous, as I said, there's a lot of competition among each state. So you can have you have multiple locations, but choose the right location and hiring the right team, which is again, a business 101, people. Having the right people makes life really easy. And select the office by having good understanding of dynamics of the place, especially with respect to transportation and all that. Make it easy for your people in India. Get familiar with the local governing laws and be compliant with all statutory compliances. Otherwise, people can may have a bigger frame and all that, but when it comes to implementation on the ground, there could be some negative connotations, but be compliant. Not to do, I would say is do not hire any senior management or senior tech without proper evaluation. Again, hiring is a very key thing. Vetting and for a small business perspective, that's a very key important thing. And also do not engage any agents who are willing to woo with the government business. and do not depend on consultants heavily. You have to do, as a small business, you have to do your homework right from front. I would say do not depend on consultants, then they have their own agenda. And also, as I mentioned, with respect to bank funding, at least in initial years, you want to get your funding from here, which is more cost effective. End of the day, as a small business, what I would say is if you're on a growth trajectory, you're looking for making a better, faster, and economical operations, India is the right place because you have the right people, place, and products. And one of the things, I think this is some information which I generally got from the public domain. Advantage India, I think the previous speakers did speak about in terms of investment in India. The sector has been growing tremendously, and most sectors are open for 100% FDI. And the policy support. I think Dr. Kulkarni talked about a lot of those policies, national manufacturing policy, Make in India, Skill India. There's several government policies in place. And especially if you're a small business, if you're looking for a market, there's a huge domestic market, and India is going to be by 2030, it's going to be the second largest global market. And the most competitive advantage, I think I go with what Kinesh has said. It's a young working population, very vibrant, very talented, and I think that's a big plus for India. With that, thank you very much, and Dr. Nilagaru, up to you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for excellent talk on, especially focusing on the small business, how to do and what not to do. I think that was very informative. Thank you very much. Next, we'll go to the talk by Dr. Kamal Datta, and he is a graduate of the medical school from Kolkata, India. In 1976, he came to the United States, and at present, he is a practicing gynecologist in New Jersey. He was awarded the fellowship of the American College of Physicians, rather gynecologists, as well as the American College of Surgeons. He was previously the chairman of the departments of obstetrics and gynecology of two prestigious New Jersey hospitals. Dr. Datta is the founder and chairman of the and also managing director of Ruby General Hospitals in Calcutta, India. It is still the only United States-based NRI doctors hospital in India. The hospital was inaugurated in 1995. It's a 350-bed multi-specialty hospital with a cancer center. It has more than 1,200 employees. In 2015, Ruby Hospital was awarded the recognition as the best multi-specialty hospital in Kolkata by the Times of India. He is also the founder president of Endologic, which is a pharmaceutical innovation company. Since 2010, its products are providing solutions for unmet medical needs. Personally, I had the privilege of visiting his beautiful hospitals 2 years ago, met his family, and a great time looking at the hospital and what they do. Thank you, and Dr. Datta.
Hello. Hello, can Dr. Neil, can you see me?
Yes, Mr. Datta, you can go ahead.
You can see me and you can hear me clearly?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. You can go ahead.
Okay. Good morning. I want to thank Dr. Neil for inviting me to speak about Ruby General Hospital. I want to thank Dr. Kulkarni for being present, because it's always exciting to talk about a hospital project with another doctor. When I speak to a lot of NRI doctors over the years, I use a lot of slides, and I'm doing this for the last 25 years. But now I thought that I'm not going to use the slides, but just say in a general view I won't cover the things which the other speakers have covered, but I'll give you my personal experiences of making Ruby Hospital. Ruby Hospital is still the one and only NRI doctors hospital in India for the last 30 years. And I want to show a picture of Ruby General Hospital. This was on April 25th, 1995. This is the picture of Ruby Hospital. On April 25th, 1995, the Honorable Sri Jyoti Bosu, Chief Minister at that time, opened the hospital. And as Dr. Neil said, it's a 350 bedded multi-specialty hospital with the Ruby Cancer Center. We opened the Ruby Cancer Center in 2015, and we have taken care of more than 10,000 cancer patients. Now, my journey started for making a hospital when my sister died of breast cancer in 1987, my oldest sister at the age of 44, and I thought the treatment was suboptimal. So I thought I have to do something about it. And from 1989, I started trying to get the land from the government. It took me more than 5 visits. And finally, I got the land in a very prime spot in a very, very good location. And I got 2.5 acres of land. After that, we started construction in 1993, and we opened the hospital in 1995. And one of the best things that happened to Ruby Hospital was Mother Teresa came to bless us with the hospital on October 27, 1995. I wanted to show a picture. And this is one of the most cherished pictures I have. And I still think to do a hospital project in India, you need a lot of blessings. And Mother Teresa is still looking after us. After the thing that, briefly, I will try to explain the business aspect of a hospital, which is completely different from other businesses. The product is 3 things in any business: product, process, and personnel. The product is medical and hospital care. It's capital intensive and labor intensive, and that we have to understand. Now, my thing was to make it the best hospital in Kolkata, and I had 4 parameters which are always focused. One was range of services. We have 42 multi-specialty departments, and we are trying to increase the services. And with the cancer center, we are a complete hospital. Next is research and education. Ruby Hospital does a lot of research, and we are in the national and international papers, and I'm very proud of that. We have postgraduate degree applicants and students in every multi-specialty that we have in the hospital. The other thing I'm most proud of, it is in 2008, we opened the Ruby nursing school, and every year we have more than 50 students who graduate from the nursing school to help us. The other thing that happens in any hospital is what is the patient outcome. Since I have a medical facility in New Jersey, I'm well aware of the protocols that is required to run a good hospital. And I just try to cut and paste those as much as I can. But in India, most hospitals have the protocols, and that is uniform throughout India. The other thing which I focus on completely is patient satisfaction. How do you increase the patient satisfaction? The surveys we do about patient satisfaction in the US, we try to do the same satisfaction surveys in India. Now, the next part is the process. Process is how do you cut and paste the protocols over here that we follow in the United States to India. And I tried to do it. In India, it's standardized. They have an excellent thing in India called the NABH, National Accrediting Board of Health. And that has done an excellent job of standardizing all the hospitals. So any hospital that has to do well, has to get the NABH. And I think I thank the Indian government for doing a great job. And this is going on for the last 15 years. And I'm very proud of that. The question that I'm asked the most is, how do I manage the hospital? And I've done many seminars, many things, many doctors. How do I manage? First is, I visit India. I've been to India more than 100 times in the last 30 years. Okay. Every visit is about 2 to 3 weeks. So that's the only way I can keep a direct eye on the hospital. I speak a lot. Every day I speak to the finance director, medical director, and the operations director. So I'm well aware of what is going on in India. Also, I do video conferences every week with the heads of departments of India, because one thing I know, that I'm taking care of a lot of lives, okay? And when a doctor takes care of one life at a time, we are taking care of a lot of lives, and that is very important. Like this morning, I know we have 82 COVID patients, 26 COVID patients in the critical care, and 4 COVID patients on the ventilator. So we are always aware of what is going on in the hospital. As far as personnel, we have more than 1,200 employees, and we have about 350 doctors. As far as employees are concerned, what is happening in India, which I'm seeing over the last 30 years, there is a migration of doctors and of administrative personnel from one part of India to another part. Before it was when people, where they went to medical school, they stayed in that what you call state. Now there is a complete migration, and that is very, very good for India. And one thing that the other speakers haven't mentioned, I just want to mention that we outsource 3 things. Food and beverage, we outsource. Security, we outsource. Housekeeping, we outsource. The advantage of outsourcing this is, there are a lot of formalities which the government has to run this thing, and we take a lot less of administrative burden when we outsource this thing. So I would tell anybody, if you're doing a big project with a lot of employees, one advice is try to outsource it so that the people who do this can do it much better than we can do. Now, the most important thing, what I've learned is personal experience, humility and attitude. These are my personal experiences, and I just want to tell you why humility and attitude. When I was trying in India to get the land from 1990, 1991, I went more than 5 visits. It was very frustrating for me to get the land. I'm leaving my practice over here and going over there. And I told my dad that this is impossible. We can't do anything in India. Things don't happen. And my dad heard my ranting and raving, and he said one thing which I never forget and keep it at the back of my mind. My dad was a freedom fighter, and he said one thing, that Komal, one thing is, there are many people in India your age who gave their careers. Many of them went to jail, some were tortured, but they never complained. So you do a project or don't do a project, please don't complain. And that helped me in my future, that when you're doing a big project in India, a labor intensive project, there will be frustration. But I wanted to tell you that that always helped me. The other questions I get from NRI doctors is, what is the investment amount and what is the return of investment? This is a very common question. I say the investment amount will be a lot, but don't look at the rate of investment, because I don't look at the rate of investment that much, because I studied medical school in India for 5 years, late 60s, early 70s, where the government charged me 1,000 rupees for the total education for 5 years. So I'm always grateful for that. Next is, I want to show a picture on Inauguration Day. And the reason I show this picture is to all the NRI doctors whom I speak to is, I had a young family. My son was 2 years old, but I thought this project was important to me to go ahead. I knew of the difficulties that I have to come and visit India. It is a lot of money involved. But I thought, if I think about how it will end, I will never start the project. So to all the younger professionals who are thinking of investing, don't overthink the project. Don't overthink the project. You'll get paralyzed. Go for it. And things have improved much in the last 30 years. I've seen it for myself that India, it's much easier to do business now than it was there in the last 30 years. And one thing, as I showed you, I tell the NRI doctors who are investing huge amount that please make sure that you have a supporting spouse. Supportive spouse is important when you're spending so much time in India. You need somebody to take care of the kids. So I'm always grateful for my wife to giving me the support. Now, as I end, I just want to say one thing. Like any professional, I've dabbled in many things, pharmaceutical, medical equipment, but my greatest satisfaction in my life is Ruby General Hospital. I think of it every day. I breathe about it every day. I don't get tired doing it. It's not work for me. And I think that this will, when we do a project in India, this is the greatest satisfaction you can have. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was very inspirational. I think we remember your words about humility and attitude. And I think we all men here in the audience need to take notice. How did the name Ruby Hospital came about?
If you have a minute.
He loved his wife so much.
Yeah, can you hear me? Ruby Hospital, anybody in Calcutta, they know the name of Ruby Hospital. I didn't try to publicize it. I didn't say it's my wife's name. In 1989, when I went to do the project, they said you have to make a company. And I was thinking, I had 24 hours to make the company. I was thinking of Ruby or Puri. Puri is my wife's mother's name. So I was thinking, and I read an article about an Indian person in Paris, France. His job was to give names. All the car companies come to him to give names. He has to see the name, that it is not abusive in any language. It doesn't mean, and it goes to that. So I chose the name Ruby. But one thing I'll tell you, if you are not making money, your wife doesn't cut you any slack. So, always remember that. But Ruby has been, not only it is a hospital, and since it was there for 25 years, it has been a landmark in Calcutta. So anybody who was in Bengal, just ask them about Ruby Hospital. You just have to say Ruby and they will understand. And I'm so proud. And most people know it's an NRI hospital. NRIs come and visit at Ruby Hospital. And I'm very, very proud of it. Thank you so much. Yeah.
I think you are an inspiration to all of us. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to the last speaker, Mr. Ratnagiri Polavarapu. He is the president and CEO of Genomics Biotech, headquartered here in Atlanta. And also, he is the president and CEO of Genomics Call out of Pulivendula in India, and Genomics Molecular Diagnostics Private Limited out of Hyderabad. Education-wise, he has a PhD in biochemistry out of Madras University in India, and he has held various positions as Professor of Biotechnology of Amity University in Jaipur, India, Associate Dean and Professor of biochemistry at Katuri Medical College and Hospital in Guntur, India, and he has been adjunct professor for several universities, both here as well as in India. And he has been director of MNR Research Foundation out of Telangana, and he has been given the award of Talented Industrial Biotechnological Award from the Association of Biotechnology and Pharmacy. And he has worked as Director of Operations and Acting Managing Director out of the MWC Biotech Inc. in High Point, North Carolina. And he was the research biologist and a leading research biologist out of CDC, Homeland Security here in USA. He was also the director of Emory DNA Core Facility, as well as associate professor of medicine and biochemistry at Emory University in Atlanta. And he also has worked as assistant professor at Department of Pharmacology and Molecular Core Lab Manager out of Penn State University in Hershey, Pennsylvania. And he has multiple research publications which go on for several pages. So just enough to say that he is highly qualified. Dr. Polavarapu, it's yours. Go on.
Yeah, sir. Yes, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And this is my Janma Bhumi is my India. My Karma Bhumi is America. Okay. Now, I want to make it very simple, easy, inexpensive, and also I heard the people. And I am a farmer's son, and I was brought and also I lived like a very farmer. I never had a chapel in my high school. Became a professor. Now I have 55 students, got PhDs, and I am a professor. The God given the chance to train them. Doing business in India. Dancing with the devils, playing with the angels. This is a very strange concept. The way I put it is my experience last 15 years. I did my PhD with Professor Naidamma. He is a Padma Shri, and also he worked with the great Prime Minister as a secretary. Professor Naidamma was one of the well-known scientists, and I am one of his student. I always thank him. He's working with him, and he was my mentor. Padma Shri from Andhra Pradesh, and dancing with the devils and playing with the angels. Very strange. Yes, doing business in India is great. 15 years I started bringing the science to India because, as I said, this is my country, Janma Bhumi. That is my Karma Bhumi. America is my Karma Bhumi. This is my Janma Bhumi. Always. Why dancing with the devils and playing with the angels? And also, what is the biotech industry? Now, a lot of industries are coming back and forth, India to America. Trust me. This is one of the place a lot of people got hands burnt Some people made a lot of things done, like Bharat Biotech. They are doing 1997. Krishna Ella, I know him. He is a good friend. And a lot of people who came, they survived. But at the same time, lot of people got the hands burnt. Why? Nobody is coming just like that. Nobody is dazzling as big as that. No. Dancing with the devils, playing with angels means very, very interesting concept. What I am telling. Sustaining a biotech industry in India, you have to have a focus and also understand American or foreign seed cannot grow in India. Indian seed has to grow in India. Trust me, you have to understand what India is, what we can do it, how we can make it. It is not like I can make a software in America and bring it to India. That is a different story. But making something in India and make it available to India and also send it to rest of the world is the best concept. I feel that is, I thought after 15 years of struggling being in India. Now, you can ask me, who are you? What is going on? Now, I will put you only in 2 sentences. I'm a farmer's son coming from a village, and all the 4 brothers we have, 2 professors, me and my other brother is another professor in Osmania, another one is another doctor. My father is a farmer, and I'm coming from small village. I know how to plow. Nagal, I know how to do it, and we do it. But the thing is, I came to America, and as I said, my mentor is Professor Naidama. Naidama is one of the AP, Andhra Pradesh, mentor as well as one of the best scientists. And Indira Gandhi this time Secretary to Science and Technology. You know him, right? And he died in the Kanishka flight. And
can you concentrate on for 5 minutes? What
yes, sir.
should the audience know? What should they do? What should they not do?
What they should not do? Starting, sustaining about the biotech. And important thing is, don't keep high hopes. Keep focus, and important thing is, make sure what you are going to do it in biotech industry. Biotech, a whole lot of things that you can do it, but focus, and then make sure, find out your own niche, what you can do it. 95% of all the technology is in the garbage. Only few technologies are available. Now, let me go into the straightforward what we are doing last 3 months, how much we made, what we did. This is very important what I am going to talk. What I am saying is, last 3 months, March 22nd, we heard we are going to have lockdown. 1 month before, I heard, yes, COVID is going to come and attack India. What we did, immediately we started making the probes and primers and everything. We made the whole thing ready to go. Within 1 month, we made the things. What we have done is went all the way, Kurnool, Kadapa, and whole state we made established after September 11th, 2001. That's where the whole story, where I got the experience. And they told me he's the one of the best in the world. You go and take him and take his advice and take him. Then I went there and they asked me, state government asked me, and I did. Yes, and we did proved completely, and also we made it. Now we made within 1 month we made 7 crores per month.
Can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Can you stop there so maybe you can cover some of it in the questions and answers?
Yes, please, please.
Kind of running out of time.
Yes, please.
We'll come to questions and answers very shortly.
Yeah. Biotech is very lucrative, but very dicey. Very dicey.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And let's hold there. Next, I want to introduce Mr. Narendra Shah, who is the founder, CEO of the Futura Capital Group in Atlanta, Georgia, which deals with IT projects, education projects, bank loans, EB-5, investment green cards, and various other things. And he has 40 years of experience in IT and finance, does a lot of consulting. He has taught more than 1 million people for IT education. And he has also founded and led multiple organizations in the last several years. One of his pet projects is educating the children as well as the adults in his expertise of computer knowledge. Narendra Shah, I request you to give the vote of thanks. You want to unmute? Can you unmute yourself? Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Nilagaru, for your kind words. Good afternoon, all dear friends. Honorable Consul General of India, Dr. Swati Kulkarni, illustrious President and CEO of IAICC Executive Board, Chairman, Dr. Mr. KV Kumar, Chairman of the Regional Chapter, Dr. Nilagaru, President of the Regional Chapter, Mr. Kumar Aladi, all the wonderful speakers, and all the members and all those present today in this amazing webinar. It's my proud privilege to be asked to propose a vote of thanks on this great occasion. On behalf of the Consulate General of India and Indian American International Chamber of Commerce, National and Southeast Atlanta region, I want to extend a hearty vote of thanks to all of you, all the speakers, for your great speeches, great insights of doing business with India. A big thank you to our very enthusiastic and extremely helpful Consulate General Honorary Dr. Swati Kulkarni, who has been always there to help us in each and every way. She always believes in going above and beyond. She is always reachable for us for anything and everything, including the inauguration of our chapter on 25th November 2018. And today she is spearheading along with our National President and CEO KV Kumar doing business with India. I also want to take this opportunity to recognize our inspiring and founding father of IAICC, Mr. KV Kumar, who established this chapter, this organization before 30 years. You would not believe he spent $400,000 out of his own pocket for this great organization. He has done so many things for the betterment of Indian Americans and Indians in last 40 years, and has personal experience with President Reagan to President Trump, Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. I want to extend my deep appreciation for regional leaders, Dr. Neela Garu, who did excellent moderating today. Thank you so much, sir. Mr. Kumar Aladi, who gave excellent speech and also helped us to do all the technical work for this great webinar today. And in his speech, he covered so many great things about the small business, about how different kind of businesses are, how about the different bright future India holds, and many other things. I also want to extend thank you to Mr. Kinesh Doshi, his detailed analysis of the business worldwide and business in India. I want to extend a thank you to Dr. Kamal Kumar Datta, who told about the NRI hospital, the only NRI hospital in India for last 30 years, how his father inspired him, don't complain, and just do the work, and name the hospital Ruby Hospital, and all the great things of using the America's quality in India and the nursing hospital and all these things. I want to thank Dr. Giri about telling that, you know, be practical, don't have very high hopes, and just try and do the work. I want to also thank the Consulate General of India's staff, Mr. Vikas, Mr. Prasad, Mr. Deepak, and the whole team for supporting Dr. Swati Kulkarni in all this great effort. I want to thank our national Chambers national team members, Dr. Vishnu Jairaman, Mr. Nagaraj Reddy, and who is the Dr. Vishnu Jairaman is the National Communication Director, Mr. Nagaraj Reddy is the National Executive Director, and Ms. Mary Reynolds, who is Mr. KV Kumar Special Assistant. I want to thank the technical team of our regional chamber, President of Mr. Kumar Aladi's company, Smart Infrastructure, Mr. Anish Goli, and also the two tech members, Mr. Rohit and Mr. Sudeep, who took care of the whole webinar technical part and helped each and every member extensively. I want to acknowledge our gratitude to all those who gave valuable time and are present here today, and who are planning, who are already doing or planning to do business in India, business with India, and our relations which are great, which were great, and which will be greater between India and US, and prosper the business between India and US, two greatest democracies of the world. We all are very inspired by your great words, Dr. Swati Kulkarni, Mr. KV Kumar, and all our amazing, great world speakers. We thank you all for being with us this afternoon. It's been a great pleasure. Have a great day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We have about 5 minutes left. I want to give a minute to Dr. Kulkarni to say anything within a minute.
It is absolutely a great privilege and honor to associate with IAICC. We have worked with them now closely since inception of Atlanta chapter, and we look forward to work with them closely. Thank you.
Thank you. 1 minute for Mr. Kumar, and then we'll take one question and we'll call it a day.
Well, I'm very grateful to Dr. Kulkarni, Dr. Neela Garu, Mr. Aladi, and of course, our good friend, Mr. Narendra Shah. I think, and all the great speakers who have given their insights. And Dr. Saab, you mentioned the hospital. We also have an NRI hospital. I am a founder of Kaveri Medical Center, a 450-bed hospital in Bangalore, India. I also, sorry, okay. Anyway, go ahead. I have a emergency call.
Okay, thank you very much. And let's finish with, we have 4 minutes left. We have one question. I have several that people called me and told me, but I will ask one question all of you can answer. If I were to go and start a business in India, what qualities do I need? Is it a persistence, ability to meet the right decision makers? What do I need to do? And what industries would you go and pick, and what has the least amount of bureaucracy? We'll start with Dr. Kulkarni.
See, if you want to invest in India, we have it's a public sector company we have. It's called Invest India. So they handhold you, and it's a one-stop shop. They navigate you within India, where to go, which state to select, how to go, what sort of product you have, what is the scope of requirement you have. They literally handhold you for everything. So we will suggest that you go through them, and they will make sure that you succeed in India.
All right. Dr. Aladi, Mishukul Aladi, what is your advice? You want to unmute?
My thing is, again, from a small business perspective, it's 3 Ps: patience, persistence, and perseverance. And whether it's India, whether it's US, all those 3 things which make you successful. I think patience, persistence, and perseverance. And if you are getting the right team, I would say is having a right person in India. So who can be your eyes and ears, who has the culture and all that. I think that's what's going to makes it happen. It's all about people.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Datta?
Yes. Ruby Hospital is a bit different because it's only NRI doctors hospital. A doctor is managing the thing. There have been from the Middle East group of NRIs who made a hospital, but this is the only hospital where an NRI doctor is managing the thing from United States. So that is the difference. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Mr. Giri, you have about a minute. What advice?
Okay. The important thing is Department of Biotechnology is the one of the best place where you can get the funding. If you are within the biotech industry, please focus there, go there and find out, present your project and they will fund you. Trust me, this is 100 times better than America. Indian government has a better place to get the projects and you can start from there. All the people who have ideas, they can go to the Department of the Biotechnology in India. Madam Kulkarni, she can help and she can guide them. And also, this is the right place to go there. I got 7 projects and I lived from that. That is my stepping stones. Now I'm making a lot of money just because DBT's Department of Biotechnology. Okay. They helped us.
Thank you.
They saved us.
Thank you very much. That's
yes.
a good final thing to hear. And it's 101. I thank everybody again for all your efforts and time commitment.
Dr. Neil, can I say something, please?
Yeah, 30 seconds.
Yeah, I just want to add that if any of you want any guidance, you can always come to Consulate General Dr. Swati Kulkarni and our chamber, Indian American International Chamber of Commerce. We are the facilitators. We can always guide you and help you. That is what we are here for. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we will end it. Aladi, you can end it now.
KV Kumar sir, you want to say anything?